What's good, y'all? It's your man Joel Best here, and I am very, very excited to be debuting the first installment of my new segment on the channel, No Average Joe. And today, we definitely do not have an average Joe here. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the amazing man with a can, Hal Walker.
Hey, Hal Walker.
How are you doing, man?
Well, I didn't realize this was the first episode. This is quite an honor.
Yeah, you are the debut guest. You are the debut.
Real honor.
So first of all, tell people where you from, what you do and all that.
Well, I live in Kent, Ohio, and I've been making my living as a musician for like the last 25 years, mostly in Ohio. And in January, I discovered TikTok. I opened up TikTok for the first time and put a couple videos in. And I somehow struck a nerve, and a bunch of people liked what I have to offer.
Yeah, you struck a pretty big nerve, I would say. A huge nerve.
I posted something today. I mean, I spent about 2 hours today creating some content, and it just sort of, I mean, I shouldn't say it flopped, but it's like 2 hours later, it has a couple hundred views.
It always flops. I completely understand that. Like, it be certain days where I'll go and I like got my tripod and I'm like, oh, I've been thinking about this skit like for some days. They're gonna love it. It's gonna millions of likes, millions of shares, and it's like, so you got 9 likes and 57 people played it. No one shared it. I'm like, oh, okay. But then I'll post something dumb where it's just like, I posted something and they'll be like, oh my god, 100 likes, like thousands of plays. I'm like, what? Like, I don't understand it. The algorithm is crazy.
I know. The things I spend the least time on, the one that I spent for the entire experience of recording it and editing it and everything, took about 1 minute, and it got 4 million views. So
crazy, right? It's nuts. It's like the less effort you put in, the more like bang for your buck you get.
So that's the brief version of my story.
Yeah. So you said you've been a musician for 25 years?
Well, I've been a musician my whole life, but I've been essentially making my living doing it for about 25 years.
Wow, that's cool. So what was your first instrument that you remember getting into?
Well, the very first instrument, I guess, was my singing voice. I remember at a very young age, I had a couple solos at church. I was in some Christmas pageant. I think at a pretty young age, I got a harmonica, and I learned "Oh Susanna" on the harmonica.
Oh, that's cool.
And I took 10 years of piano lessons starting in 2nd grade. Always sang in the choir, and just we used to sit. My dad was a piano player and a singer, and we'd hang around the piano and sing songs together.
Same, yeah. My dad plays and sings in church. He's a minister of music too. And as a kid, I'm so glad I grew up in that era where it's like schools forced all the kids to sing. It was like, you gotta sing. It's the Christmas show. It's like, you gotta do it. You gotta do it. And it was like you and your friends just sitting there for hours like, oh my God, I would rather be in class than in rehearsal. But those are the funnest moments, and you discover a lot. You just be like, wow, this is looking back, that's a very unique experience that I feel like now a lot of kids don't even have, So what made you want to be a musician? What drew you to it?
Well, it was my junior year or sophomore year of college, and I worked at Geauga Lake, an amusement park in Ohio, and I had this little chunk of money, and I bought my first guitar. And then my junior year, I lived downstairs. I lived on the 2nd floor, the 3rd floor, and this woman, Ellen, lived on the 2nd floor. And she had this boyfriend. I was madly in love with Ellen, by the way. She had this boyfriend with a long ponytail. He'd drive up in his little red Honda, get his guitar out, and he'd walk into Ellen's house. And I was just so jealous of him. And I decided that I was gonna learn to play some songs, so I had something to to offer. Ellen.
Exactly. So competition. You want it to be, you want it to be like, hey, I'm here.
I'm here.
Guitar,
Come on, let's go.
like, what is he doing? So what? He has a car. Can he do this? Like,
He was a good musician. Though he was real good. But I also grew a long ponytail.
Wow.
It never worked out between us. But it was for the best, probably.
Exactly. Hey, but look, ain't that crazy the things we get into to impress women? Isn't that nuts? Yeah, because I literally remember one time I took a whole salsa class. But the thing was, I was so intent on like, yo, I gotta impress her or whatnot. I didn't realize that the salsa class wasn't a salsa class. She was a part of a salsa team. And these tryouts. And I was like, okay, this is interesting. But did I try my best? Of course, 100%. But I was also like, what did you just invite me to? Since that day, I don't think I've ever salsa'd again. After it was like I ain't got no shot, it was like, all right, you know what? Salsa is done. It's a scarred memory.
Well, fortunately for me, it sort of sparked this lifelong desire to become a musician. So
exactly, that's incredible. How many instruments in total around do you think? Because I know you play a lot, but like, what's the rough estimate of like?
Well, let me just start listing them. Like, top ones are the piano, the guitar, the singing voice harmonica, the melodious can is that Thai mouth organ, the bonaculas, so that African rhythm instrument, the jaw harp, that twang instrument. I play the recorder. That's the flute, sort of a flute like that.
I played recorder. I went to recorder karate school. That's what they called it. I was like, I stopped like right at brown. Like, I could have went black belt, but they stopped me right at brown, and I was like, oh, okay.
Shoot. I play the ocarina. I have a hand drum or a hand pan. Those are the main ones. Let's see. I have a banjo. I rarely ever play. I have a mandolin. Those are the main ones, though.
Man, but that's still a lot. I just played the saxophone, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna learn something else. And then like after I played the saxophone, I still play it sometimes. But like once I learned the saxophone, I was like, you know what, this is enough. I was like, because that takes a lot of discipline to learn all those instruments, man.
I'm really glad I started with the piano. That gave me a good foundation in reading music and basic music theory.
Yeah, and that's what he started with. Yeah, you get to learn like the circle of fifths and all those chords, and I was like, ooh, like music. I loved it. I knew how to read sheet music, but I also learned a lot of stuff by ear. But it was also like once music theory came around, I was like, it was like math with notes. I was like, oh my god. Okay, so about the can. What intrigued, like what made you want to pick up, out of all the instruments in the world, the can, which I didn't know about until I did for TikTok.
Well, that's a good story. I'm a harmonica player. I played the harmonica my whole life. I got real good at the harmonica. So a harmonica is all about breathing technique. It's like blowing and drawing. And then I live in Kent, Ohio, and I was visiting a professor of ethnomusicology. And he specializes in music from Northeast Thailand. And I went over to his house, and over in the corner was this interesting looking instrument. And I asked if I could play it, and I picked it up. And immediately I was like blown away. It's like, oh my God, I can't believe this instrument even exists.
Yeah.
I am holding one. And he lent me one. So I started just covering up random holes and using my harmonica techniques on it. And then a couple of years later, he specializes in this music and regularly travels to Thailand. So I went with him to remote villages of Northeast Thailand to find the makers of this instrument. And it was just a great experience traveling to Thailand. It's like a 24-hour plane trip, and then I got off into this whole other world. And then we took for various transportation up to these remote villages where, there was no running water, no electricity, just people living on stilted huts.
Mm-hmm.
And these guys making this instrument.
Man.
That was in 2007, so I brought back. I was so hungry to bring as many. Like I just wanted to load up the truck. Like,
you were like, I need
Give it all to me. Give it all to me.
But I took a few of them, and I remember I carried them home in this homemade kind of bag. So it's very difficult to get a can. That's one, especially now these days. Yeah, there's so few makers.
I don't think Amazon has an ample supply of cans laying around.
not after low key gliding hit.
Yeah, exactly. I know, right? Now everybody's like, "Oh, I want a can. I gotta get my hand on the can." Everybody's like, "Oh, that instrument's so cool." Even like people I've seen in your comments that like do and like produce music, but like, "Oh my God, I want one of those like live. Like I need it." Like I was like, "Wow, that was crazy." Speaking of low key gliding, just walk. I love the story of this. Like, I've heard it before. But walk me through the process of like the day low key gliding was made. Like, what inspired that?
Okay, sure. I was posting a video every day on TikTok, and I was sitting in my dining room trying to come up with an idea. And I was basically thinking, I'm all like pretty much every day.
It's nothing.
Every day I think I'm all out of ideas. I'm done. It's time to turn it in. But then I'm sitting there, and I had this one higher key, and I was playing around with this thing. I just wasn't I was kind of frustrated. I kept hitting record, and like nothing was happening. I hit record, nothing was happening. And then I switched cans, and I picked that thing up, and pretty quickly I just sort of found that groove. And that was, I had hit those chords before, but I never hit that particular groove before. And I started playing. I recorded this 1 minute 40-second or about a 40-second version of me playing it, and it was pretty. I thought it was cool. I liked it, but I didn't expect it. I just expected it was just another normal TikTok post.
Exactly.
And I put it up. That night, this guy Lalobrief, this guy from Mexico, found it, and he said, "Ooh, I liked it." He tagged Lusion.
Okay.
He said, Lusion Music, check this out. And I saw his comment, and I said, "Ooh, I'd love to connect with that guy, Lusion." That night, Lalobri created a post that was all in Spanish, and it basically was calling all his fans to go to my page and tag Lusion. Like he was backing me up. He wanted to connect me with Lusion. He knew this was a good.
That is insane. He was like, everybody get to his page.
Go to his page and tag Lusion. And I woke up and there were hundreds of people tagging Lusion on my post. So that got Lusion's attention. And then the next day I woke up and there was Lusion in the comments. He said, "Ooh, this is great. I love this." And then he also followed me, which was cool. And so we exchanged some messages, and he said, "Do you mind if I remix this?" And at the time, I was like, "Sure, go for it." I wish I had thought ahead and said, "Okay, you can do this, but here's what I want."
Yeah.
But I was just like, "Sure, do whatever you want, go for it." And he a few days later, he created that amazing sound that he took those Playboy Cardi vocals, sampled them and repitched them, and he made that sound that essentially has just like been the sound of 2020 on TikTok.
Man, when I think about the pantheon of TikTok sounds, as wild and as crazy as they are, like that sound is so like. It's so well known. Even like for like any of my friends like who don't even like go on TikTok or don't have TikTok accounts and stuff like that, but they just like are on social media, I'll play the sound and they'll be like, "Oh yeah, I heard that before." I was like, "Yeah, I'm interviewing that guy." Like they were like, "What?" And I was like, "You know the guy who was?" I'm like, "Yes, it's a real instrument." Everybody's like, "Oh, is that like some sort of like synthesizer?" I'm like, "No, that's a can."
It's got a lot of. I mean, he added some nice. He did a really nice job. He added the reverb, and then he did a great job mixing it up. But it is, it's a real instrument, and it's a very unique sound.
Yeah, a unique sound that has made a staple in social media culture and TikTok culture. Like, still big. To this day, I still see people who use low-key gliding for sounds and like, oh, this is a vibe or this is a mood and stuff like that. So
well, then I posted once it went big. Then I posted it on YouTube. You know, I went over to my church and I recorded a 7-minute version of Low Key Gliding, and that blew up because mainly in big part because of the Illusion remix. But my acoustic version blew up, and today I have like 300,000 views on that, which is awesome for me. Like I'm getting that's monetized, and that's been great. And the reading, if you ever want to have a fun, good time, go read the comments for Low Key Gliding. That music is affecting people in an incredible way. Like people tell long stories about how this music, how this sound changed their life.
Yeah, they're like, oh my God, like if I don't have this sound while I'm like doing homework, it's just not right. Like I'm like, it's people have taken it and it's really affected them. From what I've seen in the comments, and just being the music, like, because music I feel like has always been like the essence of whatever mood it was created in, and I think that's interesting that a lot of creatives and like young people like use that sound to either vibe out or chill or something like that in moments of frustration. And I think that's interesting that you talking about how it was created, how you like frustrated and you were just like, you know what, I'm just gonna try something, I'm gonna just put that out there. And I feel like that has really carried into the sound, and carried into Low Key Gliding just as a vibe musically.
Mm-hmm.
That's a crazy story.
Yeah, it's a cool story. I like that story. Hard to live up to it though. Like I go, this is interesting. I'll go live on TikTok and I'll just, I'll right away I get about 50 people come in. And then, gradually they leave and it just sort of stays right around 50. If I start playing Low Key Gliding, I can guarantee you within about 1 minute, I have 300 people in the line.
Yeah, exactly. Then it's like, packed house. That's your closer. Everybody has a closer. That's your closer. It's like once that song plays, concert. It's like when Journey plays "Don't Stop Believing." That's the end of the concert. Yeah. Anybody is like that's the closer. Like that's your Big Bang, man. Yeah. Because I remember I hopped on the live. Where I was like, I need to interview you. Where you played, you pulled out the can and you played Low Key Glide, and then you were done, and you were like, all right, so it's gonna go back down to 50 followers. And I was like, nah, man, what are you talking about? I'm here for the journey. And then it was like 300, 250, 215. And I was like, what? I was like, oh wow. I was like, that shit closer, man.
But the thing is, I can play it for a long. My lives are basically. I'm kind of hungry for more people, so like I'll play Low Key Gliding for a while, then I'll change it up and watch the numbers drop, and then I break out Low Key Gliding, and then I drop, and then I let it go, then my numbers go down. It's funny.
Yeah. So with that, like, what's your favorite like kind of? Because I know you play all kinds of music, but like, what is your like favorite kind of music you play? Because I've seen you even play like some very folky stuff. I've seen you do like a little bit of jazz here and there, and you got a pretty wide range. But what would you say is like one of your favorite wheelhouses to play in?
That's a good question. I just heard a term yesterday. I'm not sure if I got it right, but I think it's genre neutral. You're genre neutral. There's not a particular type of music. I like. The truth is, I don't listen to all that music. I got Spotify, and I almost have to force myself to like turn it on and search through it, because there's so much great music.
Every
once in a while I find an artist that I like, but there's not a particular genre. I like acoustic songwriters, but I like people whose voice I like, who I enjoy listening to, and it's hard for me to say.
Yeah, just one type. Yeah, it's very. I get that because I'm very artist specific to what I listen to. Because certain people would be like I'll name off or someone will play and I don't know, and then something completely different will play. I'll be like, oh, I love that song too. And they be like, what? And I'll be like, wait, but I don't know about that whole genre. I know about that one person. It's like, whoa, wait, like that's what that like. It's individual songs that I like.
You know what? Actually, I like the kind of music that I go through different phases, but for a little while, right when I got Spotify, I was listening to video game music. Like people were giving me all these recommendations, and these orchestrated video games, which is just like, they were so cool. I feel like if I really had time, but I would focus on mastering composing video game music. Very fascinating.
Especially with all the instruments you play, you could do whatever. If you could play with a favorite artist or band or whatever, dead or alive, who would it be?
Barack Obama. I would sing Amazing Grace with Barack Obama.
That was a pretty epic moment. Who knows? Maybe people just like hearing Obama speak. You could probably just be like, have him talk and then just play low key gliding behind him.
I would want to play a little basketball and then sing Amazing Grace.
Exactly. That would blow up the internet.
And then I want to play low key glide. Yeah, I want him to dance to low key glide. The memes, with him doing like the Ellen DeGeneres. Oh God, that would be. That's funny. Would you ever start a band? I have started a couple bands. My first band was in the 80s, late 80s. It was called Voyage from the Porch.
Oh yeah.
And they were good, but they always wanted to play too loud. We had this electric guitar player that he couldn't. I just wanted him to play quiet, and the drummer always played too loud. And I like sort of real subtle music. Yeah,
you wanted musicality with it, because it's like when you always playing here, it's like, hey, all right, this is getting old. Let's build up. Let's create a journey, you know.
But in the last few years, I've hired some musicians for some of my a CD that I put out, and I love that. I mean, these were just top. Anytime I would just start something up, and they'd come in with their groove, and I love it.
Yeah, oftentimes, like even when I was in my school band, like when I was living in Jersey for a little bit, we were a small band. We would just just jam out, and then like those moments of just like us jamming or whatever would be like some of like the best, like just creative moments, because it's like, all right, I see what you're working with there. Let me add this in there. All right, hey, I see you. Let me add sprinkle a little bit of some pizzazz on it, If you could give some advice to your younger self, what would you say?
Good question. Stay away from the drugs. That's a big one. Stay away from the drugs. I've floundered.
You hear that? That's a message.
And also, go to bed early and get up early and get to work, buddy. It's like, all right. There were times in my youth where I was like up till 5 a.m. and then thinking that I was being a great songwriter at 4 o'clock in the morning, and then I'd sleep till 2 o'clock in the afternoon, start the whole cycle over again. Like, I see young people today. I see some people that are just doing such great work. And they're so young, and they're so disciplined, and they're being so creative. It's like, oh yeah, I sort of missed out on a bunch of years because I was just sort of confused and floundering. Now I'm 55 years old, and I know what I want to do with my life, and I'm very focused. Although today I got distracted. I spent 2 hours on a TikTok video, and there were probably more important things to do.
Yeah, I totally get that. Like, because I like to look for sounds for TikTok, like if I want to like do something like a funny skit. So I have to be up till like 3 a.m, like, oh, it's got to be there. The one's got to be there. It's got to be one of these sounds. It's just gonna, it's gonna pop off. I know it. Like, just going crazy trying to find stuff. What message would you want to send to other musicians?
Practice every day. Be willing to fail 100 times, and also connect with other musicians.
Yeah.
That's one thing I've loved about TikTok is the collab factor. Like, it's so fun. I love finding, like, that was what I did today. This guy Ben Thompson is a guitar player, and he lays these loops down, and it's so fun just to go to his site, pull down a video, put it in my computer, and I start messing around with it and adding to it. That's been really fun. Like, I do really well under collaborative circumstances. And if I were young, I'd say, Hal, that's another advice I'd give to myself, is make a band. Find other musicians that you want to work with. I spent a lot of my years just being a solo musician. And I think there's so much benefit to feeding off of other musicians.
Yeah, the power of collaboration it's huge, you know. And I always think that's also funny. Like you even see that on TikTok. A lot of TikToks that do blow up are reactionary or like collaborative, even in the sense of duet this, and you know. And then you see thousands of people, you know. And then I remember one time they did I don't know if you've ever seen the Charlie Brown one, where they're like, "This is how I dance to Charlie Brown," and it's like 50 people like collaborating and doing it.
Yeah. How are you doing on TikTok?
I'm doing solid. I'm getting there. You know, me and my 807 followers. We are getting it done. But yeah, it's been so much. It's been really fun messing around with TikTok just because I hopped on at the time. You know, I was going to college, still going currently to college, you know, getting my acting degree, and then COVID blew through, and I was just like, what is going on? What am I doing? Like, my whole summer wrecked, all my plans wrecked, you know. So I really just had to find, you know, and I'm still new to the area out here. So it's like I didn't really know anybody. All my friends are scattered across the states and things like that. So I had to, you know, kind of find an outlet. And I've always been into comedy and making funny content and, you know, just doing something. And everybody's always told me, you should be on social media. You should, you know, do a YouTube or something. And I'm like, you know what? Let me just go ahead and, you know, take this leap of faith and just do it. And so I just started posting little TikTok. My first one that kind of blew up for me, that started giving me a lot of followers, I did a how they made like an instrument one. Like I was like how they made the Home Depot one, and everybody loved that. And I was like doing all the different instruments because my dad had all of them. So I was like fake playing the bass, then I did the drums, and then, you know, I did like the guitars, where everybody was like, oh, that's the funniest, because I had like a tie wrapped around my head, and then I had like an acoustic guitar going crazy, and they were like, oh, that's so funny. And so from there on, I was hooked, and I was like, you know what, let me just keep posting content. And I really like to just like, you know, do a variety of stuff, you know, because I feel like sometimes too, like a lot of people like get that one thing on TikTok and then they keep doing that. But that's one thing I even admire about like you and other content creators that do like blow up from something, that you continue to put out, you know, a variety of content. Because like I love I love low key gliding, but them bonnet coolers, or as the article one said, what do they call them? Bonnet coolers?
Oh, bonnet coolers.
Bonnet coolers? I was like, what? But yeah, you with the bonnet cooler and all the other crazy instruments, and like even like the little what was it, the kazoo you made with the
pop? The harmonic kazoo, yeah.
The harmonic kazoo and stuff like that. I'm like, that's great content, you know, and that's great material.
I like the clapping one. That clapping one I did, where it's a contest between me and the clapper.
Yes, absolutely.
I have there's like 500 people that duetted that.
Because it's again in that same spirit of collaboration. You know, that's just really what I've been doing on TikTok, just trying to make people laugh and stuff like that, and just, you know.
I look forward to checking out your channel.
Absolutely, please do. Yeah. Also, wait. Last question. Yeah, this has been such a great conversation. You're a great dude. But anyways, so what's next for Hal Walker? Anything you got coming up? Anything, you know, what's the inside scoop on the life of Hal?
Well, I've got a huge to-do list. It's kind of overwhelming. I feel like going to take a nap. That's definitely.
It's like your mind be like, you know what? I'm gonna do something productive, and then it's like you get to it, and you're like, let me get a snack. Let me do this. Let me do that. Like.
Yeah, I've got a handful of stuff on my plate right now. I'm working on I do a lot of work in schools. So as a musician, I would go into schools, do assemblies and workshops. Well, schools are not having artists now.
Yeah.
So I have to create this virtual residency, which is really hard. It's like normally I just go in and I do my thing, but this is like I've got to create this series of videos. I've got to somehow tell how they relate to the core curriculum of the students. and it's just hanging over my head. It's like, oh, I do not want to do this. I just like to go in there, make the magic happen.
And get out. I like to go in, pop my collar, and leave. Like,
I mean, it's great work. I love doing it, but this is harder. And to tell you the truth, I'm not in the mood. I'd rather make another TikTok video. But
yeah, that could be revolutionary, though. I'm definitely gonna keep encouraging you.
Oh, I'll tell you one cool thing that I've gotten into a new way of social media, and it's texting. I'm signed up. I have this subscription to something called Community, and people can text me, and then I have direct contact with my fans, and it's been cool. Anyone who texts me, what I do, I pull up the app, I see their text, and I do a quick record memo. I say, hey, how's it going? Thanks so much for texting. I'm glad to connect with you. And I give them a little personal message.
Yeah, I've texted you. I've texted the line, so I'm a part of the community. Absolutely. Okay, oh, this is really cool.
I know, it's really cool. I'm real careful about not I don't want to oversaturate my text. In just a couple a week, I just send reminders that I posted a YouTube and I just feel like it's really been fun because it's like I have this direct contact with my fans. I also like that about Instagram, like Instagram messages. Whenever someone leaves me a message, I try to just leave a quick voice memo because I hate typing on that thing. So I just pull it up. I said, "Hey, bud, how's it going?" And they get my real voice, and it's fun. It's really.
And sometimes you'll be typing, and you'll be like, "With all this I'm typing, you could have just called me." Like we're typing a lot right now. Like when it's back-to-back paragraphs, it's like, all right, my thumbs hurt. Like, what are we doing here? Like, come on. Like,
right. Exactly.
What is the number to the community? Let the people know.
330-625-5168. Text me.
Absolutely. I will put it up somewhere when I edit this in the atmosphere. You guys text him, follow him. Please make sure you're connected in his community. Great content, great stuff. But yeah, anything you want to say to the people? Because I think we're just about wrapping up.
Well, I just want to wish you the best of luck. I mean, this is so cool what you're doing, and you seem like a really lively interviewer, so I think you're going to do great.
Thank man.
I wish you the very best.
From the great Hal Walker, I am but humbled. Thank you. Yeah, but thank you so much for being on the show and just just being open and free. I think that's something that's very an intangible that is very looked over, I think, on social media, because you got a lot of people who have a huge following or start have a little bit of clout, and then it's like, who are you?
What qualifies as a huge following? Like, do I have a huge following, or do I have a?
Hal, have you seen the number of followers you have? You have 250K plus followers. So
is that considered a lot on TikTok?
Is that considered a lot in an arena? Yes, because that's how I like to look at it. I'm like, okay, like you got to think like comparatively, even though it's not as direct, you got to think that at max, at a max good day, if all your followers just so happen to jump on your page right now, that's 250K people who just,
Yeah, you're right. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
But I compare myself to the people with 1 million or like 5 million. And
look, man, hey, look. We don't know the algorithm. That's one thing and that's another thing too I had to step away from. I'm just like, you know what? I think that's like what makes like great content creators and great, just artists and musicians, period. No matter what you do, great. It's just like, just focus on being the best you or putting out whatever you like.
Go to numbers.
Exactly.
Gary Vee always says that. It's just put it up there. Put it out there. Keep putting it out there, and don't worry about the numbers. Like, I wish I had the discipline just to put it out and not even check my numbers. Like, I put it out, and 5 minutes later, I'm staring at the numbers.
You're like, wait, what are the analytics? Wait, what is it? Is it trending yet?
5 minutes later, I've determined that this one is flopped.
Absolutely. That's me literally like every day. I'm like, nope. Nah, this is the one.
This one.
This one. I'm like, well, we'll try again tomorrow or in the next hour, you know, or be like, yeah. I think that's really the key to like any TikToker. You know, it's you just gotta find your vein, you know, and it'll come, and then with time and things like that, it's just all a timing thing. You just gotta gauge it. Like it's coming. You gotta find the pocket, you know.
What I'm lacking is I don't have any funny content. Like all my content is fairly serious, just sort of music content. I've never written a funny song, or I don't have any funny skits in my mind. I'm more honest and just like, here I am, guys. I didn't wash my hair today, but here I go.
But you know what? I feel like no matter what content you do, as long as it's genuine. Mm-hmm. Like I'll do funny stuff like certain times I'll be like, oh, when you gotta go pee, and then like I'll like run around or like, you know, like something dumb like that. But sometimes I just do like somewhere I'm like just like dancing to like a song that I like or something like that. Mm-hmm. And I'm just like putting up positive messages. Like but that's how I, you know, genuinely feel, you know, if I'm like, you know what, I want to, you know, spread some, you know, love on the channel today, you know. And people will feel that, you know, and over time, and then who knows, you may have like an old TikTok that may, you know, somehow just hit the right. It's really just about it hitting the right person in the right feed and getting shared. Because then it's like, it may be something dumb like, oh, he clapped, you know, or like he like, you know, pop locked or something like, you know, like just something crazy where you were like, I was not trying at all. This was just something I just did. And all of a sudden it's circulating, man.
Well, this was fun, Joe. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Thank you all viewers for watching this. Please go follow Hal Walker on TikTok, on Instagram. Please text and call the number. Wait, just text the number. Don't call the number. Don't start stalking the guy. But yeah, yeah. So just I'll be sure to put all of that in the description below. Definitely going to be in touch with you, man. Thank you so much for being on the show. And everybody remember, as I always say, it ain't perfect, but it'll be all right.
All right.
See.
Thanks, Joe. This was great.
Absolutely.